This morning I'll be sharing about the RENs ecosystem, and this is, I hope, a framework that will help each of us to manage and grow our business, because this framework is, from my perspective, the heart of our business as well. So this morning, what I will share is this. I will share the big picture, and then I will go into the details of this framework, and then bring for your consideration a couple of next steps as well for you to act upon. I hope that at the end of this maybe 20 minutes or so, I hope that this sharing will give you a framework that you can use to improve how you are running your business, and hopefully get better business results as well. And I hope that through this sharing, it will be a catalyst for you to review your own ecosystem and look at how you can actually improve your ecosystem as well. So from a big perspective, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm trying to put it in a one-page a framework that we can use with regard to being a real estate negotiator. Of course, there's a lot of knowledge and expertise in that area. And just like the iceberg, for example, we see only a very small portion of the iceberg above the water. But a lot of the iceberg is actually underneath the water. And similarly with our knowledge, a lot of it is actually in our head, in our hearts, and we only see a little bit of the information, and we only share a little bit of the information. So I hope that this morning's sharing of this framework will help to kind of visualize and bring up above the water some of the information related to real estate negotiations and the ecosystem involved. And then, of course, this morning's sharing is just the tip of the iceberg. This morning's sharing, that picture there, is just like the onion. It's just the first layer. And I hope that we can make time in the future to peel the onion, because each of them has different layers. And this morning's sharing is basically just covering the first layer. So what is an ecosystem? According to the dictionary.com, ecosystem is any system or network of interconnecting and interacting parts, as in a business. So like, for example, the Apple business, they have their own ecosystem of interconnecting and interacting parts. So this morning, I want to draw your attention to the RENs ecosystem, and make us as the real estate negotiator as the center of that ecosystem, the center of the universe, so to speak. And one important connection and interaction, of course, is with the agency. And through the agency, with the board of valuers, where we get our license to operate as a REN. Other than the agency, of course, one key interaction that we have is with our head of sales, our HOS, who will help us in our journey as a REN, or in our business as a REN. Of course, the main connection and the main interaction that we hope to have is with many owners. And whether they are selling their property or whether they are leasing out their property, we hope that we can have lots of owners in our contacts, in our connections and interactions. And of course, it also depends on the type of property that they have as well, whether residential property, commercial properties, etc. In addition to that, of course, another aspect is their location, whether they are properties on the mainland, on the island, and which part of the island, and so on. And also in relation to whether they are primary market or sub-sale market. And then of course, in terms of the price range as well, what price range of properties are we working on? And I guess that's where our niche is, our niche market, our home, in terms of where we want to farm or where we want to fish, depending on your preferred kind of allegory or your preferred picture. So having that niche is very important, because that niche will determine the rest of our ecosystem in terms of the kind of connections and the interactions that we want to prioritize and that we want to build. So in addition to the owners, of course, we have our prospects, and we hope that these prospects, whether they are buyers or tenants, we can match them with our listings from the owners, depending on whatever listings that we have. Ideally, of course, that can happen, but in reality, on our own, we may not be able to get all the owners and prospects. So we depend on our referrals as well, friends, associates, etc., who can refer owners or prospects to us for our business. And of course, we will also need to depend on other RENs in our agency, like what we did this morning, other RENs who may have prospects that hopefully will match the listings that we have. Or else other RENs who have listings which will match the prospects that we have as well. So the reality is that also sometimes even internally we are not able to match prospects and owners, even though we work with other RENs. And so there's a need to work with RENs from other agencies who have owners, or other RENs from other agencies who have prospects. And of course, as we work with them, the MIEA, the association, will come in to help us kind of coordinate the expectations between how agencies interact with each other. So in addition, of course, there is this larger party of people that we need to depend on, folks like the lawyers, the bankers, the valuers, etc., who are important for us to close our deals between the owners and the prospects. So in general, that would be like the main connections, the main interactions that we would have as a REN. And of course, because we are the center of the universe, we are the main party in that ecosystem, a lot of how the health of the ecosystem will depend very much on us. So I want to suggest that the REN's self-management is a very key factor to the success of the REN. And for us, in terms of our value system, what our life goals or our objectives are in life. And of course, our business goals are just part of our life goals. And then in terms of, for example, the planning and prioritization, whether it is long-term plans or whether it is quarterly plans, annual plans, that self-management in terms of our planning and our prioritization is very important as well. And so in terms of the other important thing is the in the time and task management, because very importantly, yes, we have the long-term plans and some monthly plans or weekly plans, but getting the tasks, doing the small items, that's the one that really is important as well. And so our discipline and our ability to manage our time and tasks will also be very important. And then of course the knowledge management, because we have so much knowledge that we bring from our past experiences into the real estate business, how we manage this knowledge and how we apply this knowledge into the interactions and the connections that we have will help in our success as a REN as well. And then of course nothing is permanent. Change is always there. And so there's a need for us to also do that continuous development as well, so that we can have our needs for this particular season, for this particular environment being met. So related to the values, of course, there are a lot of other values, but I just want to bring for your consideration some of these values. Each of us have our own set of values, but I thought that these are important in terms of the perspiration, in terms of hard work, sweat, because we really do have to get out into the sun physically, and also there's a lot of hard work and sweat as we work on our deals. Of course, the patience, the persistence, the perseverance, all the preparation that needs to go into the work. But I want to highlight the process improvement as well, because work in the as a real estate negotiator has a lot of processes, and we need to continuously improve those processes and have more effective and efficient processes to do the work. And then, of course, partnership as well. I think that working together, whether on an ad hoc basis, that co-agency, or like Peter and myself on a longer term, permanent kind of a partnership, those values are also important. And of course, for us, depending on our value system, prayer and dependence on God would be an important factor as well. So the other aspect I think that we would need to look at is the tools. What tools do we use as a REN to manage these interconnections and these interactions? So all our hardware like the phone, the cameras, the gimbals, the drones, or whatever other hardware that we use, that actually determines our productivity, our efficiency, and also the effectiveness as well. And then softwares like all the different apps, the websites that we go to, like recently, for example, Anne shared with us about the website on the land. So those are important websites and software or apps that we have to have in our toolkit so that we are effective as well. Similarly, with regard to our contacts, the listings, the prospects, what tools do we use to manage that? And then our customer relationship management. What tool do we use to manage our customer relationships? And then, of course, because we have a lot of information that we need to know, how do we manage our information? What system do we use so that we can archive as well as we can retrieve the information when we need them? And then because there's a lot of legal documents like our agreement to rent, our authorization to let, etc. So much documentation that we need to keep for the deals. The tools that we use for our documentation system as well would be important. The other aspect that I brought up earlier about process improvement, I think is very important. Like for example, in our closing the deal, we have a pipeline that starts from getting the listing and then getting the prospects, marketing our listings and matching the prospects with the listings, handling inquiries and proposals, handling the viewing appointments, etc., negotiating the offers, and then of course wrapping up the deals with the tenancy agreements or the SPA and collecting the money and claiming the fees and so on. So each of them have a process, and how we do it and what we use to do it will determine our productivity and determine our efficiency and effectiveness as a REN as well. And so that's important for us to continuously sharpen the saw and look at how to improve our processes with the technology or with better tools or simplification of the processes. And then of course I just put in here our work is important in the sense that it is controlled by different acts and standards. There's a lot of legal aspects, legal issues involved in our work, and so a familiarity with some of the agency standards and the acts will be very important as well. So it's good that we have lawyers coming in to help us have a better understanding of some of the legal issues that we need to deal with as a REN. So that's the framework in general. I think that there's enough kind of a one-page picture that covers the key components of the interactions that we have, the connections that we have, plus also some of the key things that we need to look at as a REN. So what I like to do in closing is just to maybe share a couple of next steps. For example, I think that it would be good for us during this time when we are under the FMCO to take the opportunity to kind of check our health of the ecosystem. How's the health of our ecosystem? And which part of your ecosystem is strong? And which part of your ecosystem needs to be further strengthened? I think even those of us, those of you who are very experienced, those of you who have many years of experience as a REN, you already have very strong ecosystems. That's why you are doing so well. But even that, for example, can be further strengthened. Even strong muscles can be made stronger. And so there's an opportunity for us to look at that in terms of strengthening our ecosystem. And then, of course, the important thing is knowing what needs to be strengthened is one part, but what are we going to do to strengthen that part is the other. And so I hope that this time, this sharing will encourage you to assess your health of your ecosystem and maybe just work on one part to make that part even stronger and even better. And then, of course, I hope and encourage that you will take the time to peel the onion. This framework that I'm sharing is just one layer of it. And like, for example, we mentioned about the processes. Even getting the listing itself, there are sub-processes within getting a listing. And so I think that there's opportunity for us to peel the onion and get into more details. And then I hope that those of you who can, maybe you can send me some feedback on how to improve the model. This is just my attempt based on my 3 years worth of trying to be a REN to put together what I see as some of the key components of our ecosystem. And I'm sure I would have left out certain things, and I would appreciate your feedback on that as well. So in closing, I want to wish you all the best, and I wish you success in your own ecosystem and in your own business as well. I hope that this sharing will encourage you to think about your own ecosystem and modify whatever I'm sharing to create your own ecosystem and look at how to improve it to manage your business and grow your business. Okay, thank you very much.